We're dealing with our right triangle trig. We have to label our sides based on the angle that we have. So the very first thing I want to do is make very clear what we have by highlighting the angle in which we were given. For this angle of 37 degrees, so I have to use that someplace, 37 degrees, it's going to open up to x, which now makes that the opposite. Opposite of the right angle is going to be the hypotenuse. So if I'm dealing with the opposite and the hypotenuse, then I am dealing with and S standing for the sine function. These are some of the nicest ones to solve. What we've tried to convince a lot of you to do, if you're having some confusion, is put this over 1, cross multiply. So x times 1 is x. I would then be doing 10.3 times the sine of 37. And after you do a calculation value, x will come out to 6.2. I just want to make sure that it's less than the hypotenuse. So that's one way that we have to check some of these problems. Let's try that again. Let's find a different one here. So again, the very first thing I'm going to do is identify what angle we're dealing with. And so the very first thing is 4 is now the opposite. Across from the right angle is the hypotenuse. This is not something I'm dealing with, so this must be the adjacent. So that means TOA, which means tangent of 41 degrees is equal to the opposite is 4 and the adjacent is x. Again, I'm going to put this over 1. That's the solving part of what we're doing. And we're going to have 4 times 1 is 4, x times the tangent of 41, and divide by the tangent of 41. And if we check our calculator value, we're going to get x equals 4.6. What did I just solve for? X is the adjacent side. The only other thing that we can do, or the only thing that I would ask you to do, is find an angle. So again, I want to label my triangle based on the angle. So the one that I don't have and I don't need is the opposite. 11 is the hypotenuse, and 4.4 must be the adjacent. So I'm going to scribble out the opposite because I don't need it, and I'm not going to try and find it. I'm trying to find the angle, dealing with the hypotenuse and the adjacent, so that's CA. CA being cosine. I'm trying to find angle B is equal to the adjacent, which is 4.4, and it's over the hypotenuse, which is given as 11. To solve this, I'm going to use the second function with cosine, and then put 4.4 divided by 11. It will look like cosine to the negative first power of 4.4 divided by 11. When we finish our calculation, we'll find that angle B is now equal to 66 degrees. Let's try that one more time. We'll find another one here someplace. Here we go. So very first thing, the angle that I have, in this case the one that I'm dealing with I need to find, I'm going to open that one up, find out what it's going to. So 7.7 becomes the opposite. What I have across from the right angle is the hypotenuse, and I'm not going to use that, so this must be the adjacent. So that's TOA. So the opposite of 7.7 and the adjacent of 14 must be equal to the tangent of angle B. That's what we're dealing with, angle B. So again, to solve, I'm using second tangent of 7.7 divided by 14, and it will look like tangent to the negative first of 7.7 divided by 14. After a calculation, we'll get 22.6 degrees. We're using whole numbers, so 23 degrees. What we solved for was angle B. That was the missing item in our formula.